Bettor Sports Betting is your home for picks, props, and futures for tonight's action. Bettor Sports Betting wants to know what picks you're playing tonight. Tell us in the live chat on YouTube, Twitter, and the Bettor Sports Network app. This is Bettor Sports Betting with Fantasy Alarm's Dan Servodidio.
What is going on, everyone? Welcome back in here to the Bettor Sports Betting Show here with James Grande. I am Dan Servodidio. Appreciate everyone checking us out here on a Thursday. We got the start of June. Of course, a small slate for us to talk about in baseball tonight, but we got the NBA Finals starting up tonight. So I know Grande has some picks for that. We'll have Adam Ronis on a bit later to preview the series, and he'll give his own picks out for tonight's game. But James, how you doing, man? Yeah, small MLB slate, but we still got some picks to give the people.
Yeah, man. Happy Thursday as we inch closer and closer to Friday here, Servo. So that's always a fun, I'm happy I thought today was Thursday, not Friday. I feel like the last few Thursdays I've thought it's Friday. Today I'm on, even though I'm stuck in mud, I am in the right mindset with the right day. It's a good day. It's NBA Finals season is here. I don't think, the public loves the end result of Denver, Miami. Although, we have to look back to the 2021 season, the Jokic brothers versus the Morris brothers. I hope that, comes through for us I know the Morris, Markieff is no longer on the team, but, the storylines have to come from somewhere. But I'm doing good, man. Baseball, basketball, same day. Bart Scott can't wait which was once said. Yeah, I love it. Great. Dude, one of the best, just post-game interviews, just live in the moment.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, that was great.
Well, what jersey you got on here? I know you're in the NBA mindset right now.
I got a Bulls jersey. I'm a Chicago Bulls fan.
Cool.
Unfortunately, this is a Lonzo Ball jersey. I was a huge fan of the signing, and now there's reports that he may never play basketball again, which is really dampens the mood of the Bulls' future, because they were fantastic with him last year before the injury, and now the doctors have screwed up his surgery, and there's rumors that it comes from the Big Baller brand shoes, which is obviously another kind of screw you to LeVar Ball type situation, right? So I am donning the Chicago Bulls jersey today. Lonzo, shout out to Lonzo Ball. I'm hoping for the best for Lonzo. I hope he does make it back and is as good as he was and lives up to the lottery pick hype that he ended up being. But I had to represent for tonight's finals kicking off.
So you're saying LeVar Ball and the Big Baller brand they weren't right about everything?
No, I don't think so, Servo. I think a few things they may have gotten wrong here or there.
Okay.
Sure. just a few though. Don't we're not a long list, not like a Target list, more like a CVS list,
Yeah, we got Matt Deutsch, the Bettor boss, chiming in here saying, let's have some fun betting the NBA Finals. Yep. That we will, because I know I can see on our sheet here, we got James has a few picks to give us, and Ronis, of course, is going to have a full slate of stuff for us. But we'll get to that soon here. By the way, any MLB bets you got going on? I got a couple that I'm riding right now. Yesterday with Howard Bender, we had some live sweats going on with the afternoon games. So I always like to get in one or two picks just to have some live sweats. You got anything going right now?
I have some really good DFS lines going right now. And my home run call today, I won't spoil it yet. It is currently live. So if you guys checked it over on my Twitter this morning, I gave that, the daily home run call. I already gave that out, and he plays for Arizona, hits third, and rhymes with Norbin Narrell. So any hints there, I won't fully give it away, but nice. Yeah, that's the only live bet I am riding right now. What do you got, Servo?
Yeah, we'll keep track of that one, and we'll definitely touch on our home run calls. You mentioned your Twitter thread has been awesome, so everyone follow him at the Real Grande, the Real _ or the _ Real _ Grande.
It gets on Twitter. There.
That's all right. Yeah. You get the hang of it, but I mean, if you just search him on Twitter, you'll find him. If you aren't, I'll follow him already. I got the Rockies on the run line +1.5. They're up 1-0 right now, so looking okay there, but it's only the second, so we got a long way to go there. But yeah, I'm riding that one. And then a bet I hit on yesterday I gave out on the show was Jake McCarthy's stolen base. He stole another bag yesterday. The dude has been crazy. He's 6 stolen bases over the last 6 games. He's been called up from the minors, and he stole one again yesterday. Had 2 the game before, 2 the game before that. So I'm riding again here. I mean, it's plus 285 in DraftKings I got it at. So we'll see if he gets on base, they're gonna let him run. I know that much. So we'll see.
Yeah, and pretty soon that's gonna be like an Aaron Judge home run line where it's like plus 180 because he's just gonna steal bases every day. And to your point, like Connor Siebold has been a garbage can against lefties, righties. Like it doesn't matter who's coming up to the plate against him. So I love that. I have McCarthy everywhere in DFS today. John and I have literally spoken so highly about Jake McCarthy over the last year and a half. It was a very sad sight to see him start off the year so poorly. But this recent stretch where if he's on, he's running has been amazing to see.
Yeah, and if you listened this morning to the MLB DFS podcast with James and Pemba, you got some lineups in for today's games, and they covered tonight's slate. It's only a 3-game night slate here, but they covered that on the podcast. So after us, go back and listen to that because they won't be live at 5 o'clock Eastern like usual because it's such a short slate, but they definitely gave you some lineup picks on that podcast. So check that out after us here, after you get some betting picks in. Before we bring Ronis on in a few minutes, let's touch on our MLB best bets for this 3-game slate tonight. Not a ton of games, but we still got some angles that we like. And I see that we are both on the same game here. I'll let you go first on your top picks for this one.
Yeah, so I have been someone who's really picked on the Cleveland Guardians a lot this year. I did not like what they did in the offseason offensively, but they're starting to come around a little bit now that they've been healthy. Josh Naylor's back in the lineup, and Josh Bell's hitting a little bit. And they send one of their highest touted prospects to the mound tonight in Taylor Beebe, who's been really great. So Guardians run line first 5. And the reason I like that, minus 130 over on DraftKings Sportsbook, is first off, Pablo Lopez has not been great of late. He is definitely in the midst of his worst stretch of the year. And when you look at Tanner Beebe, where Tanner Beebe has struggled has been the third time around in the lineup. The first time around hitters, he has an 0.63 ERA this year, 17 strikeouts in 14 innings. Second trip around, 2.63 ERA, 12 strikeouts and 13 2/3. Where you get to him is after that. I think Tanner Beebe is going to shut Minnesota down early in this game. Minnesota has one of the highest strikeout rates in baseball against right-handed pitching. They're actually first. They overthrew the Oakland Athletics in that category. So I like Tanner Beebe quite a bit here. First 5 innings, just the Guardians in general, because I think that they get to Pablo Lopez. And I like the Guardians to win outright. I think the Guardians bullpen is strong. And you're getting a little juicy odds at plus 105. Not too much, just in plus money, but I do think the Guardians win outright here. Again, Pablo Lopez started off the season extremely hot, and it's not his fault that he's pitched terrible because, he's kind of gone through the gauntlet. Toronto, Angels, Dodgers, Padres, like his last 4 matchups is not fun whatsoever. But he's had control issues over that span. So I think the Guardians could potentially just win this game outright. So I'm going Guardians run line first 5 innings and Guardians money line for the entire game.
I like that. And my picks, so I have right off of your Tanner Beebe strong take here. I like him to have success against the Twins. I also think, I'll give you a couple stats to back it up, but I think Pablo Lopez is going to have a better outing here. Okay. So I like the under in the whole game, and I like the under in the first 5 at 4.5. I got it at on FanDuel. It's at 4 at other books, but at FanDuel you can get it 4.5 under. But I like the full game under is under 8 as well. You mentioned Tanner Beebe, just a strong start here, and the Twins lineup has the highest strikeout rate against right-handed pitchers this year. And over the last 2 weeks, it's up to 32%, and an MLB worst rate there against righties. So this is a great matchup, as you mentioned, for Tanner Beebe to keep it going, his strong start. And his expected ERA and FIP are right in line with his really good ERA at 288. So I think he's going to be strong here to keep the first 5 under for the Twins side. And then the other side, Pablo Lopez, his ERA is at 4.11, not great, but some of his peripherals and his advanced stats are kind of pointing to some better outings coming. 353 expected ERA, 369 xFIP are both like notably lower than that 4.11 ERA. His strikeout rate is up from last year. He's in the 91st percentile in chase rate this year. And he's facing a Cleveland lineup who can be feisty, but their WOBA against right-handed pitching is second worst only to the A's this year, 284 WOBA. And over the past 2 weeks, it's right in line with that 284 WOBA against righties. So I think Lopez is going to have a better outing against a little bit easier matchup here at home for him. And both bullpens here, Guardians and Twins, are top 10 this whole season and the last couple of weeks in terms of ERA. So I think the bullpens are going to come in after we get some strong starting pitching here and keep this one under. So I like the full game under, but that first 5 under for sure is where I'm just looking at these pitchers to have success here.
Okay. And I can't fault you for attacking the Guardians either and thinking that Pablo Lopez is going to have a good matchup, because they've been terrible all year long. Like, their best player in Jose Ramirez has, by all standards, been extremely disappointing. They don't possess a lot of power. They didn't upgrade in the offseason to address the power issues they had last year. It's really been a very recent stretch. It was literally the last 3 games in which yesterday they had 12 runs. The few days before they had 5 runs. Like, signs of life coupled with Pablo Lopez struggling a little bit. But also, again, he went through maybe the toughest 4-game stretch a pitcher could go through with the offenses that he faced. And the Guardians aren't exactly any of those offenses. So even if he doesn't, I like the under, and even if he struggles, I mean, this could be a 3-2 game and it would not surprise me at all. I just think the Guardians get the best of him. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. But I mean, for how close I make this, and I think it's going to be a low scoring game. So it might be one of those games where it's a 1 run either way. And I could see the Guardians being on that winning side, especially after the first 5 innings. It could be, one of those 2-1 games after 5 innings. And, the bullpens kind of hold it low throughout. So, and the Cleveland bullpen has been, to your point of backing them here, they've been the best over the last month, and over the last few weeks, they've been among the top 5. So, I love backing their a team like live betting. If they get down maybe a little early, they're usually holding teams in the last few innings to minimal runs. So they're a team that could kind of pull out the win there. So plus money is nice on the money line there and the run line too, for sure. Before we bring Adam Ronis on to talk some NBA, let's get to a couple of our picks for this series. And so tonight, the NBA Finals is starting. Tonight, the Denver Nuggets are hosting the Miami Heat in Game 1. Interesting to see the Nuggets, pretty heavily favored. You see the schedule here on your screen. Tonight, we got Game 1, then a couple of days off between the Sunday's Game 2, and then next week we'll be talking about these games on a weekly basis as long as the series goes. But tonight's series starts, and I like the Denver Nuggets, -1.5 series spread. But we'll get Ronis' thoughts on this series and what he likes. But I like the -1.5 on the series spread to win at least. It could be them winning in 6. It could be them winning in 5. Probably not a sweep, but I'll take that too. But I just think that the Nuggets having home court advantage for this series, especially starting out Game 1 and 2, I think it could be, and they're big favorites, as you just saw on the screen. They're big favorites here, -9 or -8, wherever you're looking. So if we're penciling in a win here, I think they can pull out Game 2 and get to a strong start here. But I'm comfortable laying the juice. It's like -160, -175 at different books. But I think I'm comfortable laying that for a series-long spread here to win comfortably.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. And I think the 2 largest bet games in this is or series outcomes as Nuggets in 4 or Nuggets in 5. And
Yeah, exactly.
I think in line with that, not to discredit the team of destiny, which seems to be the Miami Heat, but I don't see Denver losing at home at all. They don't lose at home. They were 34-7 in the regular season. They haven't lost in the postseason, and they've won. They have a winning record on the road this postseason. I mean, if they win one game in Miami, let's say it's 2-0 going to Miami and they win game 3 or 4, I don't see this series getting past 5. So
Yeah.
I'm completely with you on the series spread. I don't think it goes past 5 personally.
All right, what about a couple of your picks for the series or for tonight's game? Give us a couple here.
I'm gonna go a flyer pick is Jamal Murray MVP plus 1400. We saw Boston kind of take advantage of Miami with guards here, and Jimmy Butler, is gonna have his hands full, I think, with Michael Porter and Aaron Gordon in this series. So Jamal Murray plus 1400 coming off a dominant series against the Lakers. You could have argued that he could have won MVP. Not so much like the Caleb Martin versus Jimmy Butler argument, but there was an argument for Murray in the Western Conference Finals. I love Michael Porter over 2.5 threes. He did in every game against the Lakers. He is going to be a big reason as to why Denver wins this series. If Miami even thinks about going zone in this series, they're cooked. Denver was a top 5 3-point shooting team this regular season. They've been the second best 3-point shooting team this postseason. Michael Porter over 2.5 threes, minus 155 on DK Sportsbook. I like Caleb Martin's introduction to the starting lineup. Over 6.5 rebounds kind of feels like a lock, or it has been at least the last 2 games, especially with him approaching 40-plus minutes in each of those. And then Jimmy Butler under 27.5 points. And I did some research. There's been a 23-game sample where Jimmy Butler has been guarded by Aaron Gordon since 2014. He has hit over 27 points twice, and only once since 2018. Aaron Gordon has done really well individually. He's a long, athletic defender. Jimmy Butler was 5 for 13 against Denver in December this year, and I just think Gordon's going to give Butler a lot of issues. And I think if Butler can't get shots to fall, Miami's going to have a really hard time winning any games this series. So I really like Jimmy Butler under 27.5 points.
All right. And you can get James's other thoughts on NBA DFS for tonight for the Showdown playbook, because that'll be up a little bit later after we end here. And you can check that out. And if you haven't already, go get the All-Pro package at Fantasy Alarm. You can get all of our award-winning DFS playbooks, including NBA. We got playbook coming tomorrow for the NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, I'm sure, and starting Saturday. And then, MLB, obviously, playbooks every day for that. But, PGA coming up later. We got NASCAR. Like, we got every sport covered for you guys. So definitely get that promo code ALARM50 for 50% off your first 6 months. Get that free trial and start that package today, because you can get Grande's picks. And I'm sure some of these props we just mentioned will be in that playbook. So we'll definitely stay tuned for that. Let's bring on Adam Ronis here to talk some more NBA Finals picks, get his thoughts on this series. What's up, Adam? We got game 1 tonight between the Denver Nuggets and the Miami Heat. A big spread here. Interesting, Nuggets really favored heavy over this series. How do you see, this series overall going for it, for the Heat, for the Nuggets, and especially for game 1 here?
Miami's going to sweep them. They just can't be stopped. No, I'm just kidding.
Those will be juicy odds. There. Those will be.
Funny guy.
But I want to touch on something that James said about the MVP. You're kind of wasting your money if you're not taking a superstar here. I know everyone wants to get cute and look for the long shot, but just look at the history here. The last guy to win it that was not a superstar was Andre Iguodala, right? And Tony Parker. But if you look, it's always elite players. And Jamal Murray, okay? He averaged 32.5, shot 52% from the field, 40% from 3, didn't turn over against the Lakers, and he didn't win the MVP of that conference series. How the hell is he supposed to win with Jokic there? I get what you're trying to do because the odds are juicy, but you got to also remember this is an award that's voted on by people that are not breaking the things stats down like you and I do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that there's a narrative there. So you go look at the Eastern Conference Finals, right? You can make a case Caleb Martin deserved to win. Butler had the better stats overall, and obviously he does so much for that team. Martin was the best player in Game 7, but it's a series award. But it's really hard outside of the superstar player, and especially with Jokic, because Jokic doesn't even need to average 28. If he averages 23 and averages 12 rebounds and 9 assists, they're going to give it to him. I mean, that's the thing. Like, so how does Murray win this award? What does he have to do? He just had probably as good a series you could have in 4 games.
The bubble.
And he looked like
the bubble. He looked like the bubble version of Jamal Murray.
Yeah.
Yes, which is why I didn't understand why so many people were not giving Denver enough credit. I know Murray had the up and down season. He sat out a little bit, but Murray has shown this ability to step up in the big spot. And everyone was like, oh, Golden State, the history. Come on, man. I don't know where you were, James. We talked, but I was off Golden State. They showed all year inconsistency. They couldn't win on the road. Everyone was basing their pick of Golden State on history. They showed this year they weren't a great team. Phoenix, Durant and Booker, they had no bench. Once they made their trade, I said it, I'm like, they have nothing off the bench right now. So everyone was just looking to pick someone outside of Denver. And look, here we are with Denver. But I do think Denver wins this series. Like, I don't want to count Miami out. Look what they've done. But when you break this down, like, how does Miami win this series? What are they going to have to do? Shoot 45, 50% from three-point range again? Like, they had their 4 best games out of the top 8 against Boston shooting from three-point range. They were not a great team in the regular season. And I guess with Miami, we have to dismiss the regular season. They had a lot of injuries. This is a team that's been in the Eastern Conference Finals 3 of the last 4 years, pretty much the same team as last year. They had a lot of injuries. Spoelstra's, to me, the best coach in the NBA.
Correct.
But, man, they're coming off a grueling 7-game series. Denver's had 10 days to prepare. And let's be honest, they were preparing for Miami. Miami was up 3-0. You know, they were, all right, let's break it down here and get ready for Miami. You know, Boston's just a dumb team. You know, I was saying throughout the postseason, I just did not get the feeling that this Boston team could win a championship. They didn't have that killer instinct. They let Atlanta back in the series. Yep. Again, if they played anyone besides Philly and they were down 3-2, they would have lost. But Philly was just a level of ineptitude above Boston, so they gave it away. And Boston had a lot of talent, which is why they got back in. I mean, Boston was minus 500 to win that series. So I don't think we're discrediting Miami because obviously it feels everyone's picking Denver. But just from a matchup perspective, the size that Denver has, I know James mentioned the stats. I was going to bring it up too. 34-7 at home, undefeated in the playoffs, the altitude, how it's very tough to win in Denver. Hey, look, if Miami does it, we'll give them credit. We'll be like just an amazing run. It is difficult going against Butler and Spoelstra, but this Denver team has been good for a few years. And they just finally put it all together with Jamal Murray back from the ACL tear, Michael Porter really stepping up his game, and even guys like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Bruce Brown, they're just getting contributions across the board. So I think Miami obviously had the tougher test in going through the Eastern Conference, but I'll take Denver to win this series in 6.
Do you think recent reports, like literally a little before we hopped on, that no longer Game 3, it's possibly Game 2 for Tyler Hero's return? Do you think that makes a big enough impact, or any impact? Because we don't even know if and when Hero returns, if he's going to be, is it full capacity? Is it short stints? Like, what do you make of Hero's potential return to Game 2?
I mean, it should help, but, you know, they're rolling along without him. I mean, could he mess up continuity? Could he be rusty? Yep. We know he's going to take a lot of shots. So, I mean, look, anytime you get a player like Hero who can shoot like he does, it should help them. But, yeah, we just don't know where he's at. Conditioning, they certainly could use another scorer, but again, they really lack size in this series. That's the big thing. Like, Aaron Gordon is in a good spot here. I know he didn't do much last series, but, you know, this is especially if Miami stays small, you know, he's a good cutter to the basket, so that he can find a lot of open shots. Porter's going to, you know, unleash his threes. There's really no one that can get in his face, and he takes mostly threes anyway. Yep. I see James watched my video today because I'm also on Michael Porter over 2.5 threes. So thanks for watching, James. Porter went over it in all 4 games against the Lakers, 6 of the last 8. He's shooting 40% from 3-point range in the postseason. So it's a good spot here for him, especially at home. Even Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, his number's 1.5 threes. He's been really good here in the postseason as well. So, and I guess if you want to, I think the last I saw it, a first quarter was -2.5 Denver. You figure Denver well rested at home. They tend to start fast as well. Miami coming off the game 7, you've seen those stats going on the road. I know they had the extra day of rest, but certainly not good. But yeah, I think Hero should help them though, assuming he's good to go. But yeah, it's just they just don't match up well with this Denver team. No. And I mean, look, you could say, okay, the Milwaukee series, yes, Giannis was banged up, missed 2 games. I don't know what happened to Milwaukee because they were my pick to win the championship this year. I just have no idea. I have no idea what happened to that team. That was stunning. Not surprised Miami beat the Knicks. I don't think anyone is. We know the Knicks had flaws, and it was basically Jalen Brunson and no one else.
Yep.
The Boston series, did I think Boston would win? Yes. Am I surprised? No. Again, with Boston and they're just chucking threes and Mazzulla, first-year head coach. Nothing at all. I mean, you just saw it Boston would get out to leads early on, and then in the second half, Miami would just take advantage of them. So I think this is different. Malone's a good coach. And this Denver team, no one really talks about them. I mean, it's mainstream. Like I know we have all year, and the people who follow the NBA all the time, we're well aware of how great Jokic is. There's some people that are just realizing who he is right now. And, you could have made a case he, could have won the MVP. I'm not saying Joel Embiid didn't deserve it, but Jokic took some time off late, but we all know he's the best player in the NBA. So it's just tough to see Denver losing this series, in my opinion.
Gotcha. I want to go back to something you said about the Denver Nuggets having the long rest in between their sweep of the Lakers and then this game 1 here. It sounds like you're on the side of backing the Nuggets with that rest in the first quarter, -2.5. You could go the other way. I've been going back and forth on this because you could go the other way and saying maybe there's a little rust with having this time off and the Heat just kind of being more in sync because they've been playing these competitive games. But I mean, it sounds like you're on this other side, not worried about the long layoff for the Nuggets here. And in relation with the big spread here, is it worth backing the Nuggets to win by 8.5 is the spread, 9 I'm seeing. So you're going to back them to win by double digits here? Or you go on the Heat side there?
I'm not playing either side, but I would lean towards Denver if I had to pick.
Okay.
Look, I said game 1, Boston, Miami. I thought Miami was being disrespected. They were 8.5, 9-point dogs. I'm like, that's crazy. So I've never been one to disrespect Miami at all. I just think this is a good spot for Denver at home. And maybe they start slowly the first few minutes, but I think they'll be fine. I'm not worried about it. I think the rest probably helps them a little bit. I just think Miami, just mentally and physically too, on the road in game 7. And I know they won pretty easily. You never got the feeling in that fourth quarter that Boston was coming back. But, Butler got a little banged up in that game. He didn't finish the series strong. And I was fine in game 7, but he didn't look right, man. I don't know if he's nursing an injury. He said no excuses. That's the way he is. I thought Bam offensively wasn't good. He did well defensively. But he's got a tough task this year. He's got to guard Jokic. He's got to expend so much energy. What is that going to do for him on the offensive side? It's a tough spot there for him. And I just didn't like his offensive game. I feel like he could be so much better. I just don't know what it is, especially that Boston series. I was very disappointed in his offensive game. But yeah, I think that Miami, it's a tough spot for them. A couple of days off. Now you got to fly to Denver. We know about the altitude. And winning in Denver. So I think it's just a tough spot for Miami here. I know they've won game 1 in all the first 3 series. I don't see it tonight.
I will say I've heard that Bam thing a lot lately, how bad he was offensively. In game 7, he was really good at the high post passing the ball. Hit Duncan Robinson on 3 cuts. And he's had 5 or more assists in the last 2 games. What do you think of Bam's assist prop tonight? And he has to be more active offensively. He has to, right? There's no denying it. What is his assist prop currently at tonight, Adam? 3.5.
Yeah,
thoughts there?
Interesting.
It's not bad. I mean, I think he's going to have to exert so much energy on the defensive side
Yeah.
that he might be a little bit more passive because that's just asking him to do a lot. I mean, we saw Anthony Davis, who's a good defensive player, really struggle. So
an elite defensive player.
Right. And I think history-wise, Bam has had trouble with Jokic. I mean, who doesn't, right? I mean, Jokic was hitting shots. Anthony Davis was in his face, and Jokic is nailing shots. It was just unbelievable. So, yeah, I mean, I'd lean the over. I'm probably not going to play that. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to go with too many props tonight. I mean, Caleb Martin's the interesting one coming off the series. I mean, he was phenomenal. Now it's a different series. I mean, does he keep it going? Because that series for Caleb Martin was unbelievable, and he just continuously went over his prop. It's 15.5 points, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's going to be
six and a half rebounds, and I saw 2.5 threes because he's hit 4 in back-to-back games.
And wasn't it plus money on the 2.5 threes? I think.
I think it is plus money. Let's take a look. It is over on DraftKings Sportsbook. Yeah, plus 130.
Yeah,
on the over. He's hit 4. He had double-digit threes in all 7 games of the Boston series.
Yeah, Denver defends the 3-point shot well, though. So maybe that's why. And again, it is a different series. So, yeah, I'm probably going to lay off Martin tonight. Yeah. I feel like everyone's going to jump on him.
Well, you also think, and I know it's tough. Sometimes it's tough as an analyst to, break down individual matchups. But this seems like a spot where it's pretty cut and dry. Aaron Gordon's guarding Jimmy Butler every moment that they're on the court together. That puts Michael Porter, who, we know as a guy who's been removed from the floor at times by Michael Malone for defense. So maybe, something to consider when you're betting Caleb Martin props, that he's probably going to be guarded by Michael Porter more often than not, right? That's probably the one-on-one matchup that Martin's going to have.
Yeah, probably will be. Again, just being on the road in this environment, just interested to see how he responds. Again, he was great. I mean, he almost won the MVP. I mean, 5-4 was the vote, so he almost won it. He was clearly the best player in Game 7.
Yep.
So,
do you think that the Nuggets, like Mike Malone, might look at that performance and see, all right, the Heat almost rode Martin's hot streak to they did ride it basically, but they almost rode it to a sweep over the Celtics. Is that something where you think, all right, this game 1, are they going to try to look to, maybe they put Gordon on Martin and try to shut him down, not let him get these open threes? Same thing with not letting Gabe Vincent beat them, or not letting Duncan Robinson beat them for these player props, or on the other side, are they just going to look to focus on Butler and Adebayo, making sure they don't beat them first and foremost? Or, how do you see that playing out?
Yeah, it'll be Gordon on Butler. They got to take him out first. He's the playmaker as well. You want to slow him down. And we've seen at times when Butler can't get going, the offense does look very difficult for them. So, yeah, it'll be Gordon on Butler. And, yeah, I mean, look, Martin open eyes. Denver's not going to take Miami lightly. They're just not. I mean, they've kind of been waiting for this moment. They also feel like no one talks about them. You can hear the comments from Malone,
Yep.
Everyone's talking about the Lakers, right?
He is not happy about that.
He's not.
He is not.
Jokic's comments were funny too. He's like, who says we're a favorite? He's like, really? Nah, there's no favorites in the finals. Jokic is hilarious. But
this is how they're motivating themselves, saying they're not the favorites. They're being overlooked here. I mean, if that's going to get them motivated, especially against the Lakers, it looked like clear that they were like, all right, everyone's picking the Lakers to win here. But,
and the thing is, Denver,
they're huge favorites in this series.
For a sweep of the Lakers, that was just not a dominant series. I mean, a lot of those games were close. So, but that I think that shows a lot about Denver in the big spot, man. They just come through. Again, Jamal Murray is just not afraid of the big moment, and Jokic. So, I feel like they've been waiting for this moment for a while, and I don't think motivation is a factor at this point. They're just not going to take Miami lightly. You can't. I mean, you see what Miami has done, and Spoelstra is a good coach. Spoelstra is going to come up with all types of different things. He'll do whatever he can. He'll come up with different things to try and slow Denver down. But, I think this is I kind of wish it was Denver-Boston, just because Denver would be a dog, and I would take Denver. Denver would have beat Boston too.
Denver, you think they'd be underdog?
Boston was going to be the favorite. You could see. I mean, Boston.
Sure.
Boston, after winning Game 5, was more of a favorite to win the NBA title than Miami. I mean,
Yep.
it's like, wait, what? They're still down 3-2, and Boston's
Yep.
odds rose above Miami. So that would have been a good time to bet on Miami if you felt they were going to win the title. But yeah, Boston would have been a slight favorite. Boston would have had a home court too.
Yeah.
So they would have been favored, and I would have taken Denver.
Adam, over under 0.5 mentions of the Jokic brothers tonight.
Oh, over.
Over under 0.5 mentions of the Markieff Morris, the Morris brothers versus the Jokic brothers mentioned tonight.
I forgot about that. That's
2021. That was the Jimmy Butler picture where they're all in the locker room saying, "Come meet me back here."
Man, that's tough. I kind of lean under there, right? Oh man. Yeah.
Was that when Jokic gave the cheap shot?
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, it was both. Morris threw a cheap shot, and then Jokic came a little. Jokic essentially ended Markieff Morris's career. We never saw anything from Markieff Morris.
He missed like the rest of the season.
Give him a little elbow to the back there.
Yeah.
Well, Adam, appreciate you joining us here. You mentioned your Ronis bonus bets up on TikTok, and that's on his Twitter right now. If you go to his Twitter at Adam Ronis, you can go watch that for some more thoughts on his prop picks for tonight. And you were also on with Howard Bender for the Cash It podcast, right, on Fantasy Alarm that just went live, and you guys talked some NHL Stanley Cup betting there too, and some fantasy baseball stuff, right? You got any? Give us a tease on the Stanley Cup pick that you're backing.
Oh, I mean, don't come to me for hockey.
I was about to say, dude, where are you pulling that out of? You pulling out some hockey these days?
I watch a little bit, but yeah, I guess I'm pulling for the Panthers at this point. I mean, I don't know what's going on in that Florida water, man. You got the Panthers and Miami both as 8 seeds making the finals, just insane runs. Like hockey, you kind of see it because a hot goaltender. I mean, you never see this in the NBA. I mean, again, it's only the second time we've seen an 8 seed make it, and it was the Knicks was the other one. They lost in 5 to the Spurs, so maybe we see a similar result here. The 8 seed not being able to get it done.
Yeah, you mentioned on previous shows Florida Atlantic making the Final Four, right?
Yeah, man, that too. I covered FAU back in 2003, 2004, and if you would have told me, hey, in 20 years going to Final Four, I'm like, yeah, okay, no chance. So.
And now they're going in next year being probably a top 5, top 10 team because they're bringing back everyone. So, wow. I mean, if you just look at what they just did, it's like, all right, they're bringing back everyone. Maybe they could be. I mean, they'll probably be a little overrated, but.
And then look, in baseball, you have Tampa Bay. I mean, they're always good, and even the Miami Marlins.
We haven't. What are the odds for?
Has been terrible.
What are the odds for a Rays over Marlins in the World Series?
Oh my God, no, I can't have that as a Mets fan. Come on, man.
Yeah, I agree. That's taken us both. That's taken both of our opponents out, our divisional rivals here.
No, I don't mind the Rays.
And I'm a Phillies fan, so
I mind the Rays. Well, I mind the Rays.
I missed the game today. How'd the Phillies do?
Ooh, you watched it and you saw the score.
Oh, that was tough.
I'm not gonna brag, even though I texted one of my Phillies friends with a broom. But Mets have flaws, man. Mets have flaws, man. Daniel Vogelbach is in the line. I don't get what kind of pictures he has of Buck or the front office. I don't know how this guy's in the lineup every day. Not every day, but it's just ridiculous. I mean, I can't stand seeing him in there.
I mean, the Phillies are sending out, Dalton Guthrie in their starting lineup every day now, so it's not great.
I mean, Bohm going on the IL is pretty big. I have him in a lot of fantasy baseball leagues, so that one's going to hurt.
I saw, I don't know if you saw this, Adam, but a lefty can hit a lefty today. Brent Beatty with a double. I couldn't believe it. Maybe someone should tell Buck.
It's crazy, man. I just don't get it, man. We got to play Escobar against the lefty, and was it last week?
Yep.
He hit second, Escobar. I'm like, what are we doing here? And then Alvarez back down at a 9th spot today. So, I mean, I don't know. I have a lot more problems with Buck Showalter this year than last year. It's just crazy what's going on. And Vogelbach doesn't even take the bat off his shoulders. Yesterday, his first 2 at-bats, I think he took 8 pitches. I mean, I guess it's better than swinging. I mean, his OBP is higher than his slugging. Like, I don't get it. Why is he in the lineup?
That's hard to do.
Let Vientos play. He had a sac fly today. But we always say this, right? Oh, well, the team called up this guy. They didn't call him to sit on the bench. He's going to play. And I know Vientos' stats so far hasn't been great, but he's playing 1 day, sitting 2. You can't do that. If you're going to call him up, just let him play every day.
Rhythm.
He had an OPS over 1 against righties. He improved on his strikeout rate in the minor leagues. He did what you wanted to see this year. Improve against righties, and his OPS was over 1. So let's see if he can do it at the major level. And maybe he's not good, but can we give him 2 weeks straight to play? It just doesn't make sense right now.
Right.
The Mets are just frustrating right now. I know they swept the Phillies, but they lost 4 out of 6 to Colorado and Chicago Cubs. Come on, man. Can't have that.
Sweeping the Phillies isn't a great accomplishment right now.
Not,
they're not playing well.
Yeah, it's really not. And then the Phillies will get hot in the second half and make a run again, and we'll be like, wait, where did this come from? So I'm just hoping that it's the Mets' turn, because the Mets, the last few years, have always started strong. They're in first place most of the year, and the season ends and they're not in first. So maybe this year could be the opposite, but I'm still not sold, man. I still have
Yeah,
well, don't hold your breath, Adam. I'm just letting you know.
Don't hold your breath. Taking turns in the World Series for representing the NL. So I think
it's the Mets' turn. We had Washington, Atlanta.
No, this is the Marlins. No, it's the Marlins.
Oh, it is. Yeah, we got going back to the Heat, the Panthers, FAU. Now it's the Marlins' turn.
We already talked about it.
All right, Adam. Appreciate you coming on here and talking some hoops and some baseball, some extra baseball with us. But yeah, everyone go follow him on Twitter at Adam Ronis. He's doing some awesome stuff on SiriusXM Fantasy Airwaves and BSN here, and on Fantasy Alarm's website. But yeah, thanks, Adam. Appreciate it, man.
No problem, man. Talk to you guys soon.
All right, see ya.
See ya, brother.
We did.
We got a little bonus there. We got not on TikTok. We
little
got a
Mets
live
rant
for bonus. Yeah, a little Mets rant. I could see. I saw him in the backstage getting all fired up now that he's talking about the Mets. Poor guy.
We got Mystery Sauce commenting here saying, "Is it pretty much guaranteed that Denver win the championship and Man City win the Champions League?"
I mean, I don't know what that means.
I think they're pretty heavy favorites.
I know it's soccer.
to win the Champions League. If you wanted to parlay both of them, by the way, that's probably some solid odds if you wanted to do that. But yeah, I mean they're both like heavy favorites. I don't have the Man City. Okay. I can look it up real quick. They are.
I'll just take your word for it because soccer is not my thing.
Champions League. Sorry. They're minus 250 to win that game. So they if you wanted to parlay them with Denver's minus 400 series price, then go for it. But yeah, I would say it's pretty much kind of guaranteed Mystery Sauce that they'll be doing that. Let's get back to some more MLB picks before we wrap up here. Only about 15 minutes left for us here, but let's get to some more picks here. We're both back in the Guardians Twins game. If you want to check out some of our picks for that, you can kind of rewind here. Let's get to some more of your picks. What else you got going for tonight? And by the way, I see one of your picks here. We got a pitching change for the Astros. I don't know if you saw that. Yeah, we got Framber Valdez. He's pitching tomorrow, and they called up Ronel Blanco for the Astros to start that one. So that was a pick. I see you're on Valdez's strikeout prop, right?
Melting,
well,
dude.
You know what we're gonna do?
I was on his outs.
Give your breakdown. We're just gonna roll it over to tomorrow because if he's pitching tomorrow against the Angels.
Well, I mean, so the Angel is 18 and a half outs, over 18 and a half outs. I like for Framber, and it's mainly because he is the quality machine. I mean, he broke the MLB record last year for quality starts in consecutive outings. He's already faced the Angels this year. Oh, by the way, 8 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned, 12 strikeouts. He's already gone over this in 6 of his 11 starts this year, 6 of his last 10 overall. The guy just pitches deep into games. He throws 100+ pitches essentially every start, and sometimes we'll see 90, but that's more often than not he's touching 100. So I love Framber. I am lost for words right now, Servo. I did not see the.
I'll help you out here because I was gonna bet I'm still doing it. The Angels' first 5 run line and the Angels team total over 3.5. I like these both with Valdez pitching because I saw a little bit of regression coming for him, negative regression. But now that we got Ronel Blanco, I feel even better about it. And I'll even look at their money line, Angels money line plus 125 now. The main thing here for me was that, fading a little bit of Valdez there, but I see Reed Detmers having a lot of positive regression coming He's got a 361 FIP this year, and that's a really a lot lower than his 493 ERA. That's like a huge difference to me. That immediately when I see that, I could see some better outings coming. And he's got a high 387 BABIP and a low 65% left on base rate. So all these numbers are pointing to that low FIP and having some better outings. And he's got an Astros lineup that's below average against lefties this year. And over the last couple of weeks, their better splits are against righties, and lefties just haven't been as strong. And yeah, so we got Ronel Blanco in here instead of Framber Valdez. So Blanco, 4.50 ERA as a reliever for Houston earlier this season, and then went down to the minors and was solid there, but being called back up for this one. And he's got to face an Angels offense that's been basically top 10 over the last 2 weeks, 335 WOBA and top 10 WRC plus. So I think the Angels in the first 5, it was at FanDuel, it was -108 to be plus half a run on the run line there for the first 5, but you can find that and shop around. But I like their team total over 3.5. And real quick stat on that one, they've scored 4 more runs in 8 of their last 13 games. As I just mentioned, an offense that's been a lot better, top 10 in the league. And they're averaging 4.5 runs per game over this stretch. So I'd see 3.5. I like the over to get at least 4 runs here.
Yeah, especially with the power coming from Ohtani the last few days, 3 home runs in his last 2 games. Trout picking it up. Yep. They even led Taylor Ward off for whatever reason the other day because he's been a shadow of himself. He homered to lead off the game the other day. So, yeah, I mean, I now that Framber is gone, I'm so sad. Like that I just looked, it happened like right before the show. And Blanco, I'm looking impressive numbers at AAA, even more impressive that he pitches in the PCL. I saw that.
Has me a little worried, but dude, I don't know. I'm still kind of fading it.
Well, no. So the PCL just the guy had an 0.69 ERA in the PCL. PCL is like offense, all offense all the time. To have a sub 1 ERA is pretty good. A lot of strikeouts at the minor league level. I mean, a lot of strikeouts at the major league level, and sometimes this doesn't correlate from reliever to starter. We've seen that, like people who relieve just empty the tank because they can, versus like starter, you're obviously like war of attrition. Like you have to get deep into ball games. Like you can't just throw out your arm every pitch. So we'll see if the strikeouts are retained. I think we'll see. We'll see if there's an adjustment for him because he wasn't a good reliever at the major league level. He was good at AAA, but sometimes Jared Kelenic was great in the minors and terrible in the majors until this year. So hopefully in your case, he doesn't figure it out.
Hopefully in your case he does not figure it out. I'm still back in the Angels here. I was on them when Valdez, but I'll save that for tomorrow, I guess, when Valdez is on the mound, and you will too with your outs prop.
I'm so sad.
What else you got going tonight then?
Chris Sale over 6.5 strikeouts. I was all into James Paxton last night against Cincinnati, and Cincinnati is actually a relatively good offense against left-handed pitching. They're dreadful against righties, but it's weird because their best 3 hitters in their lineup in Jake Fraley, Jonathan India, and TJ Friedl are all better against right-handed pitching. They just have a bunch of guys that are kind of like lefty hitting specialists that will typically get pinch hit for later in games, especially for a Fraley or Friedl. But we saw James Paxton last night, 8 strikeouts in 5 innings. And it's not obviously a direct correlation between the two because it's always different, right? Like from slate to slate, pitcher to pitcher is completely different. But the Reds do now sport a top 10 strikeout rate against left-handed pitching on the year. And you just look up and down their lineup, like for Sale, who I was very, very much in camp Sale early on, saying that there's a lot of positive regression coming for a guy who just hasn't pitched a lot over the last 4 seasons. There's just been a lot of injuries. He is back to kind of his old self, 28% strikeout rate this year, which is slightly below his career average at 30.5. I mean, we're talking about one of the most prolific strikeout arms of the last decade, really, dating back to his time in Chicago. He's been really good peripherally. 346 Sierra, 361 xFIP, his ERA is almost at 5. So expected numbers coming around, a lot less hard contact against Chris Sale, a lot of missed swings and misses against Chris Sale. I love Chris Sale's strikeout prop tonight. Now there was, and I learned this from John and Pemba yesterday. Nobody knew why Chris Sale only went 5 innings and 70 pitches last time out until after the game when it was reported that he was apparently ill, and nobody knew it except Boston. So we shouldn't be worried that like Boston is going to limit him in any capacity like they did last time out. He's healthy. He's on schedule to make this start. There was some fluke injury where they weren't even sure he was going to pitch, and then they were like, okay, you can pitch, but we're capping you at 5 innings. That's what they did. He's going to be back to a full workload today. Because again, he only threw 73 pitches last time. But if you look the 3 starts prior, 8, 9, 10 strikeouts, 98, 110, 111 pitches. So Chris Sale over 6.5 strikeouts, -120 over on DraftKings.
All right. And I'll go with a pick in that same game. I'll let Sale have his Ks, but as long as Nick Senzel gets over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs, I can dig that. Senzel, he's one of those guys you mentioned can hit lefties well. Hitting 465 against lefties this year compared to 190 against righties. That's a huge difference. Just one of those guys that is there to hit lefties. And over the past 7 games, he's hitting 346 and hitting 328 on the road, which is interesting because he's hitting 222 at home. So that's a notable difference. And then Senzel over 1.5 hits, runs, RBIs in 4 straight and 7 of the past 8 games. So I'll take Senzel here at -125 on DraftKings to get over that number. And Sale can get his 7+ strikeouts as well.
This actually is exactly what happened last Thursday. If you remember, you took a Austin Riley prop. I took an Aaron Nola prop.
Yeah.
Austin Riley hit 2 home runs off Aaron Nola, and Aaron Nola got a strikeout. So it's a win-win for the both of us. I agree. Nick Senzel can hit 2 home runs tonight for all I care. Just give me my 6.5 strikeouts. Just give me my strikeouts.
This is a type of prop that we can both win for sure. Because I mean Senzel can hit just 1 home run,
right? A double or a double, just a double, right? Hit a gapper there.
Well, I need the run, so he needs a score.
1.5. Okay.
But he can get in. He can hit a triple, and we get a sack fly, and that's it.
Sure. Okay.
But as long as you get your 7 strikeouts or more. My last pick here for before we get to some home run calls to wrap up the show. It's basically based on what I was saying earlier about, and you too, about Tanner Beebe, just backing him for Cleveland tonight. And I like the over 5.5 strikeouts. I mentioned the Twins league worst strikeout rate against righties this year. And over the last couple weeks, it's up to like 30+% against righties. So I see Beebe here to get over 5.5. I got it on FanDuel. It was 6.5 on DraftKings, but I like the over 5.5 that I got on FanDuel. And just a quick note here was that Beebe over 5.5 strikeouts in 3 of his 6 starts this year. The guy was a strikeout pitcher in the minors, and he's shown flashes of that here in the majors as a rookie. So I like him to keep it going. And this is a pick I also threw out on the underdog plays for up on Fantasy Alarm if you want to go check that out too. But I like the 5.5 number there.
Love that. I mean, Tanner Beebe in the first 2 go-arounds has essentially been untouchable. So strikeouts plenty tonight for Tanner Beebe.
Yeah. All right, let's get to some home run calls for tonight's game. Only 3 games, but you mentioned earlier you have a pick that is going on right now, but you gave it out earlier in your Twitter, so people were following there. You got it in, but what's the live update on this home run call?
The Diamondbacks are so disappointing right now. Corbin Carroll, and they're getting shut out by Connor Siebold, okay? Like, we're getting 2 hit by one of this year's, like, worst pitchers in baseball. Connor Siebold has a 5.36 ERA, including 4 scoreless innings. So you can imagine what it came in at. So I liked Corbin Carroll plus 380 today. It's just we're 0 for 2. We have a strikeout looking. It's all bad so far, Dan. It's all bad so far.
Well, this game had like a 9 or 9.5
10.
total.
I mean, some books had it at 10.
10, yeah, it rose up to 10 at first pitch. I mean, yeah, there's no way this game should be 1-0 in the 5th inning.
Dude, 1-0 in the 5th.
By the way, I mentioned at the start of the show, my earlier pick, I had the Rockies on the run line plus 1.5.
Yeah.
So we're still alive there.
Still cooking with gas there. Yep.
And we could still get a Carroll home run and still be cooking. So we'll see. My home run call for tonight is Tristan Casas, plus 475. I like this. He has 5 of his 6 homers this year have come against right-handed pitching. A guy that hits power from the against righties a lot better. And he's got Hunter Green tonight on the mound. Green has allowed 7 homers over his last 5 starts. So just kind of putting 2 and 2 together. And this is another game with a high total. So I see someone's going deep in this game from either side. And I think, I'm not going against your sale pick again, but I think the Red Sox side of it has more runs scored in this one. So I like Tristan Casas here.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a potential, and it was the same thing I said last night, that this game could just blow up. It's warm night in Fenway, which is a hitter's park to begin with. Mm-hmm. Fenway obviously has a green monster, but that monster is not too far out there. So I agree. I like that call, and I like this game to have a lot of runs scored tonight.
Sweet. Well, if you want to get some DFS lineups in for tonight, as I mentioned earlier, go check out the MLB DFS podcast with James and John and Pemba. They are not coming up next here at 5 o'clock Eastern. That they do have that podcast out that they covered tonight's slate. So about halfway through that podcast, they covered the early and then they covered the late slate. So go check out that for some picks for tonight. Appreciate everyone tuning in here. James, it's been awesome. We had some heavy NBA talk, some MLB bets that we'll be tracking, and hopefully we get some winners here.
Let's get it. And let's close out the week strong. You and Howard tomorrow, right? You and Howard close out the week strong?
Yeah, tune in tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and me and Howard will try to give some more winners out for you guys. Appreciate everyone tuning in. We'll also be previewing the Stanley Cup tomorrow. Stanley Cup series started on Saturday, so we'll have some picks for that one. So appreciate everyone tuning in, and good luck tonight with all your bets.
Bettor Sports Betting on the Bettor Sports Network.